I used to think all those charity live streams were nothing but cheap clickbait, until I saw someone do the unthinkable just because of one stupid comment from my roommate. Her name was Diane, blonde, cold, always mocking something or someone. Her tongue was sharp as a blade, and I'd never once heard a kind word from her mouth. We shared a room in an old crumbling dorm on the outskirts of Texas. 3rd floor. The window looked out onto a quiet street. Just wind, and those flickering yellow street lamps swaying like they were waking from a hangover. But that night, when the name Karen Holloway popped up on screen and Diane dropped one of her usual heartless joke, everything spiraled out of control. I never thought it could go that far. That evening was dull. The air was thick and sweaty. Our AC sounded like it was dying. I was scrolling through my phone, bored out of my mind. Then I stopped on a live stream. No filters, no fake cheer, no background music, just a woman crying. Her name was Karen Holloway. She sat in front of the camera, swollen eyes, voice shaking. She talked about her 6-year-old son. He'd been burned badly in a heater explosion. Skin grafts, IV drips, fighting for every breath. Her words were barely audible through the sobs. Her voice cracked every time she tried to speak. It hit me, right in the throat. But Diane? She glanced at the screen, then scoffed, a twisted, empty smirk. What's the point of keeping the kid alive if he's just going to grow up to be a failure like his parents? I saw her comments pop up on the stream. Cruel, disgusting, inhuman. But then she typed something that made my skin crawl. Stab your husband. I'll donate $100,000. I turned to her, thinking it was a sick joke. Diane just laughed, added a few laughing emojis, tossed her phone on the bed, and went back to scrolling like nothing happened. But then, the live stream shook. Karen came back on screen. She was holding a fruit knife. Her eyes were bloodshot, her voice dry and hoarse. One life to save my child. And then, a scream. Blood. Karen returned to the camera, arms soaked in red. I did it. Please donate. Please, keep your word. The stream cut out. The last thing we saw was her face. Wild, desperate, trembling. I looked at Diane. No more laughter. Her face had gone pale. Her lips trembled. No, it was just a joke. The news spread like wildfire. Some said Karen really had killed her husband. Others said the police arrived too late. He died from blood loss. Karen vanished. The last known sighting of her was in a hospital parking lot. Someone said she was mumbling to herself as she walked. $100,000. I'll find the one who promised. It might have ended there, but then came that night. About 10 minutes after I showed Diane the news article, she laughed again. But it didn't last. You think I'm scared, she snapped at me. If I had $100,000, I'd buy a damn house and live in peace, not give it to some crazy woman. Right as she said that, there was a knock at the door. Not a normal knock. It was sharp, fast, dry, like the sound of a coffin nail being hammered in. Diane froze. I stopped breathing. It felt like a cold hand had gripped my heart. We didn't move. Neither of us dared. The knocking stopped. Then, it came again. But this time, it sounded like someone was banging their forehead against the door. We saw a shadow, just barely, under the door frame. It didn't move. It just stood there. We didn't open it. We couldn't. I still remember the chill that shot down my spine when the door to our apartment suddenly burst open and a man's voice rang out, smug and cocky. Miss me, baby? It wasn't Karen. It was Diane's boyfriend, Vincent Monroe, a fitness trainer. He had the kind of looks that could fool anyone. Handsome, sculpted like a Greek statue with a perfect physique. But his eyes, they were empty, hollow, like they didn't hold a single ounce of soul. Amanda once told me he was married, and today was the day his wife was giving birth. Yet there he was, wrapped around Diane like the rest of the world didn't exist. I turned away, fighting the nausea rising in my throat. And that's when I saw it. Right there on the threshold of our apartment, smeared across the old wooden floor, were bloody footprints. Fresh, wet, human. The prints were deep, as if the blood had dripped directly from someone's heel with every step. My memory flared, vivid and raw. The live stream that night, Karen swinging a knife down on the man she called her husband, blood splattering the walls, her hair, the floor, her entire body soaked in red. I remembered it clearly. Her feet were covered in blood, and she walked, step by step, dragging death behind her like a shadow. And now that same trail was right outside my door. A shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't coincidence. It couldn't be. I screamed, as if shouting could keep the horror away. Diane, shut the door. There's blood outside. Karen, she's close. Diane jumped up, her face pale, but within seconds her shock turned to annoyance. She scoffed, rolling her eyes, saying I was overreacting. Karen, she claimed, was just a crazy runaway. And besides, she had Vincent now, a guy who could crush anyone with one twist of his wrist. She even joked about the live stream, how she'd just said it for clout. The whole 100 grand thing? Don't take it so seriously, she laughed. But I knew better. This wasn't a joke. Not for a mother who lost her child, her husband, and became the target of online mockery. This was war. Vincent glanced at the blood, shrugged casually, and muttered that it came from a cat downstairs, a golden one. He'd accidentally kicked it because it wouldn't stop crying all night. That somehow felt more disturbing than the truth. Diane, now looking almost thrilled, dragged Vincent into the living room and started a live stream like it was some twisted declaration of dominance. Her voice sharpened as she spoke into the camera. Give 100 grand? Keep dreaming. She cursed Karen, mocked her sick child, sneered that death was better than living in a run-down dump like that. I sat behind her, trembling. This wasn't the Diane I knew. The woman who used to be my roommate was gone. What remained was cold, cruel, and drunk on attention. Someone in the comments asked if she was afraid of revenge. After all, Karen hadn't been caught. Diane laughed loudly. Revenge? My boyfriend could snap her neck with a finger. Vincent flexed next to her, grinning into the camera like it was a fitness shoot. But I didn't see anything funny. I didn't believe he could stop what was coming for us. When the live stream ended, I wanted to run. But where? If I left now, Karen could be lurking outside, waiting to strike. And staying here? How could I be sure she wasn't already hiding somewhere nearby, waiting for nightfall to crawl inside? Like a ghost with no face? I thought about calling the police. But say what? That a blood-soaked woman who once killed her husband was stalking us because my roommate refused to donate money to save her child? They'd laugh me out of the station. Or worse, accuse me of wasting their time. I was exhausted, and at some point I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes, the room was pitch black, like the world itself had been swallowed by shadow. No traffic, no wind, just silence, a suffocating, dead silence. I gasped and reached out, searching for my phone, but my hand touched something else. A body. Warm, solid, still. I shot upright, instinct kicking in, but before I could scream, 2 large hands clamped down on my face, muffling my mouth, pinning me flat against the mattress. I couldn't see a thing, but I could hear it. Heavy breathing, close, right in front of my face. I froze in the dark, every muscle trembling. From cold or fear? I didn't know. Then, a whisper, fast, urgent. A voice I recognized. Vincent. Diane's boyfriend. The same man who was laughing into a live stream hours ago, now lying on my bedroom floor, his breath catching in his throat. He whispered, one word at a time. Don't. make a sound. Someone's out there, killing people. At first, I thought I misheard, but I didn't. It was real. My body locked up. I had never seen Vincent like this. Not the confident, smug trainer from before. No, this was something else. He was curled up like a child, and he was terrified. I took a deep breath. Something was happening. I needed to understand it. I dragged myself to the door and peeked through the narrow crack. The living room was dark. No lights were on. Only an old flashlight stood in the middle of the floor, its dim beam flickering like the dying breath of a man at the end of his life. And I saw Diane's body. She was lying there, motionless, her eyes wide open, bulging, as if she could see me through the crack in the door. Her face twisted in a final moment of panic, like she hadn't even realized what was happening to her. I couldn't breathe. I'll never forget that face, or those eyes. Then I saw the shoes. A pair of blood-stained shoes not far from the body. I'd seen them before, in that horrific live stream. On the feet of the woman who slit her husband's throat. Karen Holloway. The woman currently wanted nationwide. No, could she already be here? My heart clenched, like a cold hand was tightening around it. The air turned thick, suffocating, as if everything was about to collapse. Jake whispered behind me, his voice hoarse. We had no weapons, no phones, no police. I'd left the phone on the table. Jake didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. We crawled into the closet. The rickety door slammed shut. I could hear my own breathing, erratic, wild, trapped in my chest. And then, crack, crack, the sound of a lock being forced. Then metal grinding as the doorknob twisted violently. The bedroom door was being opened. The air turned deadly silent. We held our breath. My heart pounded so loud I thought it might give us away. Jake signaled with his hand. He was about to do something. No, he was about to risk everything. I grabbed his arm, trying to stop him, but he had already cracked open the closet door. Quietly, carefully, he slipped out, crouching behind the bedroom door. He was planning to ambush her. I wasn't sure it would help. Neither of us knew if Karen had a weapon, or if someone else was with her. All we knew was, if she found us, we'd both die. Footsteps outside, slow, heavy, as if someone was barefoot, dragging blood across the floor. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. The door slammed so hard it felt like a gunshot straight to my chest. Karen Holloway. Her voice echoed through the house, low, raspy, like a wounded animal. She was furious, and she knew someone was hiding in here. The bedroom door was kicked again and again, each blow tearing into the rotting wood. The hinges groaned, then gave way. The door burst open. She stepped inside, like a predator closing in on its prey. Without hesitation, Vincent Monroe, once a fitness trainer, now just a desperate man, grabbed the desk lamp and smashed it into her head. Blood splattered on the wall. But she didn't fall. She kept coming, as if she couldn't feel pain. Then, with impossible strength, she yanked Vincent out from behind the door and slammed him to the floor. In her hands was the same desk lamp. Now raised high, she struck him again, and again, each blow like a punishment. Her rage had no end, no reason, no soul. Vincent fought back, squirming in agony. Only for a few seconds, then silence. No more movement, no more breath, no more blood left to spill. She dragged his lifeless, bloodied body out of the room, dragged it like discarded trash. I lay inside the closet. Even breathing felt like a betrayal. Terror had paralyzed me. My heart was beating so hard I thought it might echo through the door. And then, in that chaos, cling. A hanger knocked against the closet door. The footsteps outside changed, no longer slow, now fast, frantic. She was coming straight toward the sound. The closet was no longer a hiding place. It had become an open coffin. In a moment of pure desperation, I slid out, wriggled across the floor, and slipped under the bed. The darkness beneath it wrapped around me, shielding me in the cold embrace of dusty wooden floorboards. The beam of the flashlight swept across the room, each corner, each crack in the floor searched and exposed. And then, her feet stopped, right beside the bed. I could smell it. Dried blood, rust, and something rotten. I stopped breathing, my whole body stiffened like stone. Even my heartbeat felt muted, strangled inside my chest. I don't know how long it lasted. Could have been seconds, could have been years. Then she turned, left the room. I heard the footsteps grow fainter. The flashlight bumped lightly against the doorframe. I moved slowly. From under the bed, I had a small view of the living room, where the front door stood slightly open, like an invitation to escape. But I knew she wasn't gone. I heard the sound of metal clashing in the kitchen, the clinking of pots, the cold, sharp clang of utensils. She was in the kitchen, and the kitchen was less than 5 meters from the front door. 5 meters of blood, darkness, and death. My bedroom door was barely 3 meters from the front entrance. That distance might be my only chance to survive. My heartbeat suddenly picked up, a strange mix of hope and despair. I turned over, sliding out from under the bed. Step by careful step, I moved toward the doorway. My hand trembled as it reached for the doorknob. And then, the noise in the kitchen stopped. I froze. For a moment, the entire house fell into a deathly silence, and in that silence, I saw her. Karen Holloway, the woman with tangled hair and blood-stained clothes. She stood there, right at the edge where the darkness of the kitchen met the light. She was holding a large kitchen knife, her eyes unblinking, staring at me like I was the final target in some twisted massacre. I turned and ran, desperate, panicked, with only one thought in my mind: escape. She chased after me. I could hear every footstep pounding on the old wooden floor. Each one hit like a hammer to my chest. When I was just a few steps from the front door, my legs gave out. I collapsed face down on the floor, right in front of apartment 1-2. As I looked up, Karen was standing on the 3rd floor above me, staring down. Her eyes were wild, her mouth twisted into a crooked grin, as if to say, "You're done for." I banged on the door of apartment 102, Mrs. Matilda's apartment. That door was my last hope, the only thing standing between life and death. I pounded with all my strength, screamed for help. My fists were bleeding. Kara's footsteps drew closer. I shut my eyes. I truly believed this was the end. But then, the lock on 100 turned. A frail but firm hand pulled me inside. The heavy steel door slammed shut behind us, with a sound that echoed like fate itself slamming down the final verdict. Mrs. Mathilda whispered in my ear, her voice trembling but calm. I learned later that while I was screaming for help, she had already called the police. Perhaps she had known for a while that something was terribly wrong in this building. Outside the door, Karen Holloway screamed. It was the howl of a soul pushed past its breaking point. "You're all liars. None of you would help my child. $100,000. $100,000 to save him, and you laughed at me. You thought I was a joke? Well, now I'll kill you all." She slammed her fists against the door, again and again, like she wanted to break the whole world open just to get in. We dragged the sofa, pushed the fridge, blocked the door with everything we could. The door groaned with every blow. In the dark, I barely dared to breathe. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. And then, silence. No more banging, no more screams, no more footsteps. The air felt thick, as if the world itself was holding its breath. I didn't believe she had left, and I was right. When I turned around, I saw her, Karen Hollow's face, right outside the balcony window, behind the fogged glass. Somehow, she had made her way around the back of the building, climbed up, and was now there, only a pane of glass between us. She was holding something in her hand, a metal hammer. Without hesitation, she smashed the window. Glass exploded inward. I screamed, grabbed Mrs. Matilda, and pulled her toward the bedroom. Before the glass had even finished falling, Karen was climbing in. Her bare feet stepped on the broken shards. Blood left a trail on the wooden floor, but she didn't stop. I turned around, and she was coming. 1 step, 2 steps, each footfall heavy as darkness itself, swallowing me whole.